Stop, just for a second, and think about the last time your toddler had a complete meltdown in the middle of a Target or a busy Starbucks in downtown Chicago. You're standing there, everyone is staring, and your first instinct is to shut it down, fast. You might raise your voice, you might grab their arm a little too tight, or you might threaten a timeout that feels more like a prison sentence. But here is the shocking truth. Those moments are not just bad behavior. They are the architectural blueprints of your child's future brain. If you are disciplining out of anger or fear, you aren't teaching, you are damaging. Most parents in America today are stuck in a cycle of reactive parenting. We do what was done to us because we don't know any better. But child psychologist Tin Yang Andin has spent years proving that there is a better way. Successful parents in high-performing communities, from the tech hubs of Silicon Valley to the quiet suburbs of Connecticut, are moving away from punishment and toward connection. They are seeing academic scores rise, anxiety levels drop, and a sense of self-worth that is unbreakable. Today, we are diving deep into the science of discipline under 5, and why breaking their spirit is the biggest mistake you could ever make. Let's look at the scary reality. Research shows that nearly 70% of American parents still rely on some form of punitive discipline, whether it's yelling, shaming, or physical punishment. But only 15% of those parents realize that these actions are literally rewiring the child's prefrontal cortex to prioritize fear over logic. Imagine you're at a grocery store in Los Angeles. Your 3-year-old wants the sugary cereal, and when you say no, they hit the floor, screaming. You say, "If you don't stop right now, no iPad for a week." You've just used fear to gain compliance. The result? Your child didn't learn why they shouldn't scream. They just learned that the person they love most is a threat when they are upset. Think about another situation. You're in your apartment in Brooklyn, and your 4-year-old refuses to put on their shoes. You're late for work. You scream, "Why are you so difficult? Just put them on." You've just labeled your child as difficult. That label sticks. By the time they hit kindergarten, they believe they are the problem. Or consider a playground in Santa Monica. Your child won't share a truck. You force them to apologize while they are still crying. Result? You've taught them that words are empty and that their feelings don't matter as much as looking polite to the other parents. If these stories sound familiar, you are not alone. Millions of parents fall into these traps every day. But why does it backfire? When we lead with fear, the child's brain enters survival mode. The downstairs brain takes over, and the upstairs brain, where logic, empathy, and self-control live, completely shuts down. Over time, this creates children who are anxious, sneaky to avoid punishment, and eventually, adults who struggle with deep-seated emotional regulation issues. A 30-year study from the University of New Hampshire found that children raised with punitive discipline have significantly lower IQs and higher rates of depression in their 20s. Why is the period under age 5 so critical? Because this is the golden window. Between birth and age 5, the brain is making 1 million new neural connections every single second. It is more plastic now than it will ever be again. When you discipline correctly during this phase, you aren't just stopping a tantrum. You are building the hardware for resilience. If you miss this opportunity, the cracks in the foundation become much harder to fix later. By age 7 or 8, those neural pathways of fear response are already starting to harden. Think of it like building a skyscraper in New York City. If the foundation is poured during a storm and it's full of air bubbles, the whole building will be unstable when the winds of adolescence hit. This doesn't just affect their behavior at home. It impacts their ability to form healthy relationships, their performance in school, and even their physical health. Harvard researchers found that chronic stress from harsh discipline in early childhood correlates with higher rates of heart disease and autoimmune issues in adulthood. The stakes are literally life and death. So, what is the exclusive solution? Dr. Andin Yang advocates for a method called Connect to Redirect, or CTR. It's based on the interpersonal neurobiology work of experts like Dr. Dan Siegel. The goal is simple: solve the emotional fire before you try to teach the lesson. It has 3 core principles. 1. Emotional safety. 2. Boundary clarity. 3. Logical consequences. Unlike traditional discipline that focuses on making them pay, CTR focuses on making them learn. Let's compare. A traditional parent says, "Go to your room and think about what you did." Does a 3-year-old actually think about their actions? No. They sit there thinking about how mean you are. A CTR parent says, "I see you're having a really hard time with your feelings right now. I'm going to sit here with you until you feel calm, and then we will talk about how to fix the broken toy." The first approach creates isolation. The second approach creates co-regulation. You are acting as the external prefrontal cortex for your child until their own is developed enough to handle the stress. This method is effective because of neuroplasticity. When you respond with empathy first, you keep their upstairs brain online. You are literally coaching their brain to stay logical under pressure. In a culture like ours that prizes rugged individualism, we often forget that children are biologically incapable of self-soothing without help until they are much older. Longitudinal studies show that children who receive this responsive discipline have 40% higher social-emotional scores by the time they reach middle school. Let's look at the scientific evidence. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development followed over 1,300 families for 15 years. They found that children whose parents used sensitive and structured discipline, the core of CTR, had significantly higher academic achievement and lower rates of behavioral problems. In Group A, where parents were punitive, 45% of children showed externalizing behaviors like aggression by age 10. In Group B, the correct to redirect group, that number was less than 12%. Dr. Tinyang Andanyang, in his book The Architecture of the Toddler Brain, says, "Discipline is not something we do to a child. It is something we do with a child. If your child is afraid of you, they cannot learn from you." This is backed by over 500 peer-reviewed studies. In countries like Norway and Sweden, where punitive discipline has been culturally and legally discouraged for decades, they see much lower rates of youth violence and mental health crises compared to the United States. Now, let's talk about how to actually do this. This is your 4-week transformation guide. Before you start, you need a mindset shift. You have to stop seeing your child as a manipulator and start seeing them as a learner. They aren't giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time. Week 1, the observation phase. Week 2, the connection bridge. Now we add the connect formula. When the child misbehaves, you get down on their level, physically lower than them, and say, I see you are feeling. It's okay to feel feeling, but it is not okay to behavior. For example, I see you are angry that we have to leave the park. It's okay to be angry, but it is not okay to hit me. You must be specific. Don't say, be a good boy. Say, I need you to use walking feet. By day 5, you'll notice the meltdown duration starts to shrink because the child feels understood, not attacked. Week 3, the choice architecture. Week 4, reflective problem solving. Imagine this in your daily routine. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday in Chicago. It's freezing, and you need to get to the office. Your son refuses his coat. Old way. Put it on now or no cartoons. New way. It's really cold out. Do you want to put your coat on now, or do you want me to carry it to the car and you put it on when you feel the cold? He chooses to feel the cold. He gets to the sidewalk, shivers, and asks for the coat. Result? He learned a natural consequence. No yelling required. Remember, the main problem we face is that we think discipline means punishment. But the word discipline comes from the Latin discipulus, which means to teach. 90% of parents are missing this. But you now have the method that the most successful families in the world use. Research over 20 years proves that this leads to children who are more independent, more empathetic, and more successful. To recap, Week 1 is about awareness and stopping the yelling reflex. Week 2 is about using the connect formula to validate their feelings while holding the line on behavior. Week 3 is about using choice architecture to give them a sense of control. Week 4 is about reflective problem solving to build their logic and empathy. Start today. The very next time your child does something that frustrates you, just take one deep breath and say, I see you're having a hard time. You will see the tension leave their little shoulders. You will see their eyes change from fear to trust. In the short term, the tantrums will get shorter. In the long term, you are building a human being who knows how to handle the world without breaking. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and share this with a parent who is struggling. We're in this together. See you in the next video.